Time out. We're live right now on Facebook. It's hump day, it's happy hour. This is jer-dog. I'm just whipping up a white Russian real quick to get this started off right. That might be a little too much Kahlua. Maybe not. Add the cream here from a local dairy. Woodward, Iowa. Just down the road. Thank you guys for joining me on today's 420 report. I promise the whole video is not going to be just a shot of my drink here, but I just wanted to show the mixing process. Welcome everybody. It's the 420 report with jer-dog, happening right here on Facebook Live at 4:20 p.m. each and every weekday. On the weekends, I travel around doing stand-up comedy at nightclubs, taverns, neighborhood bars, all over the country. I never know if I'm going to have decent Wi-Fi signal or not, but I know when I'm safely ensconced here in my man cave basement studio office where I can yak it up live on Facebook to all my fans, friends, and followers, I will do so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes Thursdays at 4:20 p.m. every day or as close as possible. I'm yakking it up too much right now. I need to finish making this white Russian, which I am having in honor of Wednesday, hump day, happy hour. Yesterday, the feed got hijacked by the Russians, so I figured I forgot a fucking straw. Stir this up with my finger. Don't judge me. I know you're judging me. Who gives a shit? I just want to get drunk. Just want to get drunk with you people here on a Facebook Live feed. It's not stirred up enough. But fuck it, I'm drinking it anyway. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining in. Bob LaFada. Hey man, good. I'm glad the signal's much better. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Let me know if you can see me okay. I want to have a special guest supposedly calling in, Scott Long, who will be the headliner at the Grassroots Comedy Tour show at the Uptown Pub next Friday night, July 7th. That's in Crystal, Michigan. Oh, make sure to go see that. It is a show that I help promote and produce. I bring some of the best headliners from the Midwest to go there in Crystal, Michigan, the Uptown, for a monthly comedy series. And it's, I think they haven't sold out every show, but it usually sells out. They've sold out almost all their shows. So if you don't have tickets and you're in the area, make sure to get them now because it will be packed and Scott Long kicks ass. I've been there many times and that crowd is fucking crazy. It's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite places to perform. And I would not send any other headliners there if it wasn't going to be anything less than amazing. So shout out to Darlene Carmody and Amy Lynn Johnson and everybody out there in Crystal, Michigan for supporting live comedy, supporting the arts, especially in such a small town in the middle of Michigan. But you guys fucking rock. Thank you so much. In fact, I think this might be Scott right now calling in. What's up, buddy? Oh shit, my fax machine is going off. Hang on. Let me hit the stop. Can you hear me now? I knew this technology wasn't going to work right. Scott, call back in a second. I'll call you back. This is why I like doing this shit live. You know what I mean? Just get it all going. Get it right. Put it all out there. All the fuck ups, all the foul ups, everything. That's why I'm getting drunk. Take the edge off. Scott, I'm gonna call you back. Hang on, man. And while I'm doing that, I will just set up the topic for today, which is why I wanted Scott to call in. We're talking about the show that he's going to be doing next week in Crystal, Michigan. And, okay, hopefully this is there without the fax signal. Scott Long, can you hear me?
I can, man. I didn't even know there was a fax left in America. That's great.
Yeah, well, I've got one of these printers that is a fax machine, printer, scanner, time machine, everything combined into one. And for some reason, in order for me to get it to work right as a phone line in general, I have to have the fax hooked up. I think there's probably a way to disable it, but I can't figure that shit out because, like you said, it's technology from 1982.
It was so exciting. I felt like I was, like, I don't know, reliving one of those AOL discs they used to send in the mail that would always be your startup, that sound. That was very similar. So here I am. I was watching, you kind of are like, I don't know, doing a reenactment of the dude from Big Lebowski today, right?
Fuck yeah, that's one of my heroes. Exactly. It's where I got the idea to start drinking White Russians. I always thought it'd be kind of gross to put milk in your liquor. But then a while back, I think it was something like the 20th anniversary or something like that,
Yeah.
the Big Lebowski came out. So my wife and I, it's one of our favorite movies, and we sat down and decided to watch it and drink White Russians for the first time while we were watching it. And I became a White Russian lover. I love this shit. But now, this is why I wanted to bring you on. I'm like, finally, I found a drink that I can go into just about any bar, anywhere that I'm performing, and they're probably going to be able to make it for me. There's a lot of places I go into and I order my favorite beer, which is Blue Moon, and they don't have it. They'll be like, whoa, we've got Labatt's Blue.
Right.
It's like not at all the same thing. But then I go in and I order the White Russian.
When you drink the Blue Moon, do you demand an orange with it too?
See, I don't demand the orange with it at all. I don't shy away from the orange. You know, I could go either way on it. That's kind of what I'm talking about. I liked your post or your comment earlier on my post where people get all snobby about their drinks.
Yeah, well, first off, I think you, of anybody, should be drinking either a Blue Moon or a Corona because that might be the only chance of you getting any fruit in your diet. I wouldn't be surprised if you're battling scurvy as we talk about it. But so, you know, people need to get off your back about that. Hey, we all judge each other. And, like, okay, let's say I might judge a millennial. Well, every 50-year-old in the history of mankind has always looked at a 25-year-old and was irritated because they know what 25 was like, and deep down they might be irritated by one look or one thing they wear or something they do, but we ultimately realize that 25-year-old's dick is working way better than ours. Is that okay to say?
I would agree with that analysis.
Yeah, and sadly, there's some of that. I mean, medication helps some of that. So, yes, my post was this, okay? So, I was a waiter and a bartender, so I realize what it's like to wait on the general public, and that can be difficult, especially when you work at a chain, restaurant or bar. Like, okay, I'm going to be wearing Crystal, Michigan for you next week.
That's right, at the Uptown Bar.
Correct?
Not a chain, locally owned, small business, and you know the owner's going to be there in the front row, laughing and applauding just as much as everybody else.
A jer-dog gig, their staff that are working there never have to take bullshit from the patrons. They'll tell them to go to hell. Correct?
For the most part.
Yeah, it's not like Applebee's where you've got to always be biting your tongue when somebody comes in, or some, Don Pablo's and the family comes in and gets free chips and salsa and water, and then gets two things of chili con queso, and you're ready to curse them out on their $3 bill that they leave you a $1 tip on.
Yeah.
Feel good about it because it's 33%. Okay, sorry, I'm wrecking and taking over your show. Here was my I'm sorry. Sometimes I need focus. Here it is. I get a little irritated, to say the least, when my man bun sporting bartender comes up and says, "Hey, what do you want?" And I'm trying my best to not judge him for his man bun. And then I'm like, "Hey, you know what? I'll get a Miller Lite, Bud Light, Coors Light, whatever light." And I get the big eye roll, like, "Oh my God, you can't drink that." That's the feeling I'm getting.
Right, like how boring. What a lame-o you must be if all you know how to order is a Bud Light.
Right, well, yeah, and it's like...
half the time that's all they have on the fucking menu anyway, and I can't guess what weird chocolate dessert stout might be on there for me to even order to even think to order. You can run down a list of premium beers or craft beers, and it's just a guess what they might actually have on stock to begin with. And if it is something cool that's going to get their approval, chances are it's written in a foreign language that doesn't even fit on the fucking tap of the draft. You can't even pronounce anyway.
Thank you. And I also cannot take the extra 400 calories. Truthfully, you reach 50, and I can't rock that extra 400 calories because my doctor told me I needed to lower my cholesterol, and I'm like, okay, well, why don't you give me one of those pills that I'm supposed to take for that? And he's like, well, why don't you just eat better? And I'm like, I don't get even pussy. You're not going to take away pizza and donuts. So, I mean, that's kind of my point of view. I can't risk the extra 400 calories on a beer, so that's not going to give me much of a different buzz. I'd rather do a shot and a beer, which I feel like it's about as manly as it gets, okay? And then also, I can't afford a $6 beer. I can't, because I'm going to drink 5 of them.
Yep.
And when I'm paying for my kids' braces, I think as I mentioned in my little post on Facebook, I don't live in my parents' basement. The man barn
Right.
bartender. Okay, I got a mortgage that I'm, month to month on, so I can't afford to drop $30 on beers. Now, I'll spend $30 on alcohol, but it's going to knock me out.
Right, for a $30 investment, I want to get wasted.
Yeah,
At least, or maybe I'm buying around for all my friends. Here's another type of drink shaming, though, that I tend to experience as a comedian, is where they send you up something that you don't like, that you didn't order, some weird tutti frutti bullshit, or some Three Wise Men where they've mixed, gasoline with 2 other forms of whiskey.
Sure.
I'm not a whiskey guy. It just makes me mean. That doesn't help out comedy at all. But they'll send me up something that I absolutely don't want, that I didn't order, and if you don't fucking drink it, it starts in with the peer pressure. Boo, pussy, and they don't let you go on with your set until you drink the fucking shot that you don't want. Have you ever had that experience?
What month of my 25-year career are you speaking about? Probably every other one.
Exactly.
Also, are seen as science projects. I feel like we're a monkey in a cage to certain elements of the audience. And, I'm not against partaking, but there have been times, Rockford, Illinois, for example, which, produced Cheap Trick, and that's about it. Okay, so I did that, and 23 shots later, I'm not kidding, 23 shots, because the feature act, who I threw my keys to after shot 6, counted them out, and somehow, that ended up being part of the itinerary that booker sent out in the future.
Right.
And people were like, who did that? And then they found out it was me, and people were like, I didn't think that guy drank a ton. What's the story? I'm like, well, I'm not against a good binge, and I'm not going to, here was the ultimate part. A bartender at shot 6, when I threw the keys, came up to me, and I'm like, hey, lady, I told you I'm not drinking any more shots. And she's like, quit being such a Nancy boy and drink it.
Exactly.
Okay.
They start questioning your manhood.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No place to go then. No, I can't do anything else at that point. You've basically taken both my feet and put them above my ears, okay?
Yeah, you're fucked. Because you got to go drive back to the hotel. So even then, all professionalism goes out the window. You're not going to really be able to be funny or remember material or have your timing on point or any of that kind of stuff. As well as about 6, 7 shots in, you stop giving a. At least I do. I don't even give a fuck anymore at that point. I'm already drunk. I'm already getting wasted. So then it's like, oh shit, here I am. You just stop caring, and that's not a good move if you're trying to maintain a professional image. You want everybody, especially when you're jer-dog and you roll in.
David Tell doesn't even drink anymore because of that. He had his own TV show that talked about it. But all I can tell you about that show in Rockford, Illinois, that I've been told was I did about 30 minutes with my shirt off at one point. And, but you want to talk about professionalism, still sold T-shirts afterwards. Now that's a pro. I'm sorry.
100%, and I found that to be the case a lot of times. Is if when you party hard with the crowd, they will tend to reward you by buying your shit afterwards, unless you party so hard that you projectile vomit on the stage.
Yeah, and I actually had people that were like, "Where is he going to be next?" And I was going to be in Milwaukee at Giggles later that week. There were two groups of people that caravanned an hour away to see my show in Milwaukee, because they thought that was what my show was like.
Yep,
and then no, I don't think I would stay alive that way. So, yeah.
And then they're expecting like Scott Long to do like it's some jackass stunt the next time they go see him live.
Well, totally. I mean, I might as well have stapled my buttocks to clothes like I was Steve-O or something like that. But if I have 23 shots, maybe someone should have stapled my buttocks together. I was in no shape to defend myself.
What do you think about drinking in general for comedians? Lou Deck wrote a comment earlier that said, if drink shaming means I hate young comics drinking on stage, then yes, I'm in. If not, let's move on to lame joke shaming.
I don't know what to say about Lou Deck. I mean, I met him one time. His big thing was he wore red shoes. I don't know anything else about him either way. He seemed like a nice enough guy. I really don't drink hardly on stage, but at the same time, if it's being pushed my way, no, I'll drink. And I think when you're younger, I think sometimes you need a little social lubricant. You're a little nervous, but you need to be in control, as what you said. There's that little dance that you have to learn when you're early on. Okay, I need to get a little bit of lubrication for my nerves, but
right.
Gotta know not to go overboard. And look, you know how competitive this business is, and anybody that's listening or watching will know that you will not have a long career if you're drunk in this business. It doesn't work like that anymore. There was a time, I guess, in the 80s that you and I never tasted jer-dog, where there was a paucity of talent versus gigs. It's never been that way for us. It's been the opposite, you know?
Yeah, you got to work hard, and you got to get up, and you got to go to the next gig, and you got to drive, and it's hard to do that when you're hungover every single time.
Drive. You know what? You brought up the most important part, and that's what I would tell younger comics, and pretty much any comic, when people will be like, "Oh, I'm going to drink, hey, you're going to have a few drinks?" I'm like, look, I'm in a town I've never been before, okay? I don't know what your police are like, and my car is the most important part of my comedy career outside of the material I created. And if I can't get to those gigs because I got a DUI, well, that's not going to do me very good. Every once in a while you meet a comic that's carpooling or taking the bus, and you kind of know what that guy's doing. It's like if you're in, Mason City, Illinois. I was there once, and I saw this poor guy on a bicycle, and he was like 57 years old, and it was snowing. And I'm like, well, I think I know what's going on with that guy's life. And I don't want to be that 57-year-old guy
right.
riding a bike in the snow.
Right. You don't want to be that guy. I mean, maybe someday I do, but it'll be when I'm done doing road comedy. That'll be when when I can just be that guy, and that can be my reputation. Then I won't mind it so much. But when you get, and that's the ironic thing, is that when I was coming up, I didn't really drink very much at all. I wasn't even really old enough to drink. I usually had to talk my way into the club to begin with. And when I did drink, I was pretty inexperienced. I would get hammered really fucking quick. My material would go south. Like you said, it would be something to take the edge off. But it really wasn't the best choice, because I'm trying to remember material that was fresh. I'm trying to just figure this whole thing out. And then what happens once you do have all that figured out, and you are able to have a little bit of freedom and flexibility by being a headliner and drinking on stage and partying with the crowd, you kind of don't want to anymore. You kind of have like a more of a professional business sense about you, and you decide to be more responsible about it. But then you think to yourself, I got into this fucking gig to avoid responsibility to begin with. Half the reason I wanted to become a comedian from the very beginning was so I could spend half my week in a fucking bar.
You know what? I I think, it's one of the things, and I've told you this before, that, I really admire about you is that you, you'll hear about people that are like outlaw comics and things like that. And, okay, I get it on some levels, but I think it's often more like professional wrestling. Then there's someone like you that has, hold on a second. Somebody just break something?
Scott Long experiencing domestic situation on the other line back at his house.
Oh, yeah. I just
Assume he's
walked out of my house in the suburbs. This can happen. Oh. And I thought a windshield had been busted. One of the transient children that live in my neighborhood, which probably are mine.
Right.
So, yeah, no, I was just going to say that when I think about you is okay, you got a family, but you are a one-man show, meaning you put together the acts, you book yourself, you get a hold of people, you don't rely on this comedy world that so many other comedians rely on forever, and then found out that it's all dried up and they want the flavor of the month that was on some Comedy Central show, and they don't want you anymore, and their career ends. You've basically just thumbed your nose in some ways at the whole system and made it work for how long have you been? That 15, 16 years?
Yeah, well, I started out in '94, but I spent the first 7 years just trying to figure it all out, and then I've been pretty much full time every weekend, 50 weeks a year since about 2004.
Right. I mean, and there's no one that you can say has done it like you. I mean, and look, I don't think anybody could do it quite like you either, but I feel like you're the one that's kind of the outlaw comic on some ways, because you're not trying to pander to anyone. You're just like, hey, you want to laugh really hard, you want to have a great time, and you want to have a show that fits your venue, I'm your guy. And I totally believe that's why you've had your success you had.
Oh, well, thanks, dude. And I just like to get up there and have fun. I didn't really come up through the comedy club system to begin with. I came up through just trying to be a jackass entertainer in bars for fun, and then somehow it eventually turned into a career. It came down to the point where, like, this is actually the one skill that I'm good at, that I has some marketability, is being a smartass and talking shit to alcoholics, and it pays a hell of a lot better than bagging groceries or pumping gas. So yeah, if I am going to have a family, it's pretty fucking risky to go into show business, but I might as well try to capitalize on the one thing that I'm better at than anything else. And that's also part of a curse, too, because when you roll in and you're known as jer-dog, the big wild and crazy party animal that's going to get up there and do fucking shots, they don't just bring you 1 or 2 shots to cut loose and have a good time and have that social lubricant to take the edge off. They bring you up a fucking garbage can full of whiskey, which you don't even like to begin with. That's going to piss everybody off because you get pissed off. And then I start ranting and raving, and it turns from comedy into a fucking pro wrestling / Jerry Springer show.
Yeah, you know what? I always try to, and look, basically I've made a huge left turn, right turn, I don't know what turn, U-turn, and what I've done is I was a, pretty edgy comic for the first 20 years of my career. In the last 6, I've moved farther and farther away from that, but truthfully, in my soul, my favorite kind of comedy shows are edgy and a bit of a fist fight with the audience in a fun way. And
controlled chaos.
It's a spar.
Yep.
I'm not looking, and so I don't know, maybe once every couple months, I try to book a show like the one I'm doing with you, or doing for you in Crystal, Michigan, where I say Daddy gets to say naughty words in public. Show, because I need to do that. I need to get it out.
Absolutely.
Even though being very clean and being Jim Gaffigan-like, sure pays a lot better because very few people can do it. And I like that part too. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it outside of that, but I'm really looking forward to the show coming up.
Well, it is a great bar, and like I said earlier in the feed, I would not send any other headliners to a venue if it was going to be anything less than amazing. And I actually might be there myself. I've got a show in South Haven on the 6th. I have a show in St. Joseph on the 8th. I might actually have those backwards. Anyway, I'm booked on the 6th. I'm booked on the 8th in Michigan. I have nothing going on the 7th. If nothing else materializes, I will be there with you, and we'll fucking show them how these Iowa boys do it in Michigan.
Totally. It's been too long. Well, hey, I'm going to let you go because I got 3 people that are my children trying to get a hold of me for one thing or the other. So,
all right, thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Hope to talk to you next week.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much, bro. This is a lot of fun.
You bet. Bye.
Bye. That was Scott Long, everybody. Our first guest ever on the 420 Report. This is the longest episode of the 420 Report I've ever had. I let somebody else do the bulk of the work this time. Well, I just sat back and got a buzz working with my White Russian. We had a bunch of people join. D. Lynn Bennett from Riffs and Punchlines, the Blues and Comedy Review. Thank you for joining in. Billy Kirby, Central College alum. He was there back in the day when I got kicked out and started my career in stand-up comedy pretty much because I was forced to. I wanted to go into broadcasting. I wanted to do something more productive. I wanted to get a degree. Fuck it. Just wasn't meant to happen. I'm meant to be my own man, rolling around bar to bar, just telling dick jokes to alcoholics. I hope you guys come see me live someday soon. Thank you very much for watching again on the 420 Report. I will see you all tomorrow at 4:20 p.m. or as close as possible. Hit me up with some likes. Hit me up with some shares. Let me hear it, motherfuckers. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow, guys.